Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm John Wuorinen. I'm the Director of Admissions and Tuition Assistance here at Columbus Academy. And we've got a Zoom at noon going today, focusing on Columbus Academy's performing arts. We are definitely one of the pillars of the school is our arts program. And so today we have Whitney Eads, who is a drama teacher and drama coach.
Director. Yeah, the middle school and upper school musical director and choreographer, and I also teach classes in the middle school and the upper school in theater and public speaking, as well as a little bit of dabbling with backstage work as well with the 7th grade.
Great. And we also have Ryan Jenkins, who is our choir director here. And he's in his PJs because we have student council has declared this week to be Spirit Week. And so what better way to show your spirit than dress up in your pajamas? So introduce yourself if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, my name is Ryan Jenkins. I'm the choir director here at CA, and along with that, I am the music director for the upper school musical. So that's something that we're excited to get started with today. Auditions are today. Yes. Yeah. And then I also teach cross-divisionally. So I teach in the middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th choirs, and then upper school choirs, along with being a coach for the middle school boys golf team. So kind of all over the place with what I do.
That's actually the typical independent school model, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Some classroom work, some helping out in all sorts of different areas. So as I say, today we're focusing on performing arts. And while we have middle and upper school faculty representation here, they know, along with me, they know quite a bit about the lower school. So we'll talk a little bit about that area as well. Once again, as always, we have Anika Littell behind the scenes. She is curating these today's sessions. So folks out there who are watching, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and Anika will share those questions with us as the session moves along. So well, Whitney, if you would talk just a little bit. This is a big week for you if you include last week. Last week you had Wednesday, I guess Friday and Saturday, right? Friday and Saturday was Aladdin Junior. And then again, we'll talk a little bit about the upcoming plays, but
Sure. Yeah.
Please tell us a little bit about the middle school production.
Yeah, we just closed Aladdin Junior with our middle schoolers. We had a cast of 49 kids. We had a crew of about 20.
And this is in a middle school that has about 240 students.
Yeah, it ends up being almost a third of the middle school gets involved in the musical in some way, which is amazing and excellent. We have not always had those numbers, but consistently, at least the last 5 years, we've been just building and building and building, which is amazing. We actually had our largest graduating class of 8th graders that we got to celebrate on our last day, which was really cool to see. And then we also involve our upper school students too. So we have had 7 student directors. We had 3 people from Scott Dillon's Portfolio Tech Theater class running the lights.
And these are all high schoolers.
Correct, running the lights, running the mics as well. And then we had a couple crew directors in the upper school as well. So it really ends up being, even though it's the middle school musical, it ends up being a cross-divisional piece. And that is something that I'm trying really hard to do within the theater department, is encourage student leadership. So our current 8th graders next year will be in upper school, and they might also want to be a student director and keep working on something that's so special to them. We start in November, and we have auditions, and they rehearse every day after school, barring our big breaks that we have, the winter break and Thanksgiving break. And they learn choreography and music and acting.
Sometimes those dress rehearsals get canceled because of snow days.
Yeah,
right before.
2 canceled this past week. So Sunday we had to stay home. Sunday was, everyone else was like, oh my gosh, it's beautiful outside. And I'm like, oh no, it's beautiful outside. What are we gonna do? And then we also had a snow day on Wednesday. So our kids really actually missed almost 7 hours of rehearsal that they typically would have had. And that's technical rehearsal where we're adding lights and costumes and huge set pieces. So it's really a safety element too, that everyone is there and they have that practice. And despite all of it, they had the largest audience that we've ever had. We filled the floor and we went up into the balcony, and we had just amazing shows this past weekend. I was really, really proud of them and their accomplishments.
And one of the fun things about the middle school show, I'd say a couple things. One, you mentioned the student directors in the upper school.
Yeah.
One of the pieces that ends up happening routinely is there's not as many opportunities for dance here at Columbus Academy. But it is often the case, I don't know if it was this year, that some of our some of the students who are into dance in the upper school can help out a little bit with the plays. Did that happen this year by chance?
Yeah, well, oftentimes we do have a few student directors who are dancers, who are competition dancers, and they end up being my dance captains. And actually, the show that we're going to be doing in upper school is a tap dancing show, which
is that right?
Tap is like one of my favorite dance forms. I'm a dancer. I grew up a dancer and I'm a choreographer both here and professionally too. And it is scary for a lot of kids to like put metal on their shoes and make sound, even though we have such an amazing music program, yes, but music, band, choir, orchestra program here. They get to apply that theory knowledge that they have to dance, which is really awesome, but it can be very overwhelming. So yeah, having dance captains with the middle school musical and the upper school musical is very helpful. We do have one class, my upper school class, does involve a lot of movement. And there have been years where we've done choreography units with people that never thought they were dancers, and they made some really amazing pieces. So we're just trying to give them, opportunity to get into the art of dance in a way that is accessible for everyone, no matter their skill level. So it's my job as choreographer always, no matter where I'm choreographing something, to make the actor look really strong and really confident on stage. So yeah, they can have some dance here and there, through our productions.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. So just talking while we're on the topic of the musical, Something Rotten is coming up. I know just a little bit about this musical. It happened, one of the songs came up across on my Spotify feed, interestingly enough, in the fall. And then I saw that I listened to the song and actually listened to quite a few of the songs from the work. Talking just a little bit about this, it's actually it's a fun show.
Yeah, I'll start with a warning. It is PG-13 and above. It is for our older students, right? I am not going to be inviting the lower school to this one because there's just a lot of fun jokes that go along with Shakespeare and how he wrote his plays.
It can be a bit bawdy.
Exactly. As well as the history of musicals. So it's actually this really fun story, an alternate history, if you will, of how musicals started in American theater, and also how Shakespeare came up with his most renowned play, Hamlet. And there are all kinds of weird hijinks that happen, including Nostradamus's cousin who tries to predict the future and predicts musicals, but in a very off way. There's a lot of jokes. It's a comedy, a lot of pistache, a lot of parody. And I think the kids are really going to love it. They're really going to sink their teeth into the comedic elements. We have a lot of very funny kids here. Like our actors are very good at comedy. So they're really going to shine in that. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Sure.
Right, if we can talk just a little bit about music. Before we leave theater, I want to go back.
Yeah,
Can we talk just a little bit about theater in the lower school? I know that's not your area, but thinking about the progression, one of the great things about Columbus Academy is we've got 15 grades, and so kids can come as explorers and move right on up and progress. So can you talk a little bit about the lower school program?
I would love to. So Michelle Schroeder-Lowry is our lower school drama teacher. Amy McLaughlin is our lower school music teacher, and they work hand in hand very similarly to how Ryan and I work and how our accompanist works with me during the middle school musical. Jenny Christoph is our music director for that. The big performance in lower school is the 4th grade musical. And that's the first time that they are getting a real script like that is published from companies like Music Theater International. And they get to perform at night, right? For the parents for the first time. And it's where they have costumes and lights and set. And it's a really short 30-minute piece, but it is so much fun to see. They did Frozen Kids this year. And I joke that I recruit from the 4th grade musical because I'm just watching this 4th grade musical, and it's the entire 4th grade. So in middle school and upper school, it's self-selected. People can audition if they want to. They don't have to. But in lower school, the entire 4th grade gets to have this opportunity where they really get to see what it feels like to be an actor, to go through the audition process, to go through the rehearsal process, to go through performance as well, and just create empathy for that art form and for that career path, really. And I was blown away by Frozen Kids. I was sitting up in the balcony just tearing up because Michelle and Amy do such an amazing job with them. And they make every student feel like a rock star, no matter their role. And as we say, like in theater, there's no unimportant role in theater. Everyone is creating the world of the play. So it's really a practice in cooperation, in empathy, and in imagination. Littler ones have concerts during the day that kind of coincide with like a musical as well. My son, when he was in 1st grade, did a baseball musical, and it's so cute. I mean, they're up on the risers. They do get to wear, actually my son's was videotaped because it was during the pandemic. They do get to wear some costumes, and they get to come up to the mic. They're in front of their parents. But even from like 3YO and up, Michelle and Amy are working on the dramatic arts, on movement. We talked about dance.
Yep.
They do a lot of movement and a lot of music, and all of that really goes hand in hand. And we build on what they learn in lower school into middle school as well. It's such a delight to work with them. They're 2 of my close friends. And so we can take vocabulary that they learn in lower school and use it in middle school. And they're also theater professionals as well. So it's not just like, here's a kiddie term for this. They're really learning like the parts of the stage and what blocking means. Michelle does an amazing Shakespeare unit with her 5th grade. That's what 5th grade ends with in May. And they do scenes from the Scottish play. I'm not going to say it out loud, just because bad luck, but they do scenes from the Scottish play. They do scenes from Midsummer. And the kids actually have this incredible understanding of Shakespeare, sometimes better than some of my upper schoolers that I teach. And they love the characters. They find joy in the characters, even when it feels like something that's a little inaccessible to a lot of us if we don't have a theater background. So they really do a great job of building them up and building up their skill.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
Ryan, finally, it's your turn to get a word in edgewise. I'm just seeing. So this is your first year. So talk a little bit, if you would, about, in the same way, actually, we should start with the music program here. Whitney already alluded to the early stuff.
Yeah.
With Amy McLaughlin. So you starting in middle school, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and so I mean, I think the wonderful thing is with CA is they get such a good foundation from Amy and from Michelle in both theater and music. And then when they get to us, whether it's band, choir, or orchestra, they have some of that vocabulary that a lot of middle school students, when they come into a middle school music class, don't necessarily have. And so we start with orchestra. Orchestra, you have the opportunity in 3rd grade, I believe it is, to start after school. And so that's with Nathan Greenwood. And so they meet in several different levels. I believe it's level 1, 2, 3. And they meet on different days. But that's after school, Monday through Thursday. And each class meets at on a different day. And so that builds their foundation of how to hold their instrument, how to bow, how to pizzicato, and get some of that really good technical experience so that when they get into sixth grade, they can hit the ground running. And so once you kind of get on that orchestra track, unless you jump off in sixth grade, you kind of ride that track for a little while because you build up so many years of good experience with them.
So in sixth grade, students they have to choose band, choir, or orchestra.
Exactly. And so a lot of those orchestra kids already know that they are orchestra, and so they don't necessarily apply to what I'm about to say. And so once they get to sixth grade, that first month or so of the school year, we do a rotation. So the kids can go to choir for one full rotation, 1 6-day rotation, and see what choirs like, see what they would do. I play some music games with them. I get them singing a little bit. I kind of give them a taste of what choir would be like in middle school. And then the next 6-day rotation, they go to band. And then whoever was in band first comes to me. And then they get that band experience or vice versa. They get fitted for an instrument. They do some fun games and they just see, oh, this is what being in band in the middle school is kind of like. And so once they choose that first year, we kind of encourage them to stick through whatever they picked in sixth grade through eighth grade, so they can build off of those years of experience so that when they come back for seventh grade and eighth grade, they are building upon all of that information that they got from the prior year. That being said, if there is a student that choir is their calling or band is their calling, we take that person by person and we kind of help make sure that they're in the best ensemble for them. And so once they get to the upper school,
but you can't choose two.
that is correct.
In middle school.
In middle school. And so they meet at the same time in middle school for the whole time. So even though some kids are like, I love choir and I love orchestra, I tell them, hold on until upper school. And then in upper school, you have the opportunity to do either, you can do 2 of the 3 ensembles if you would like. And so upper school, it counts as their art credit. And so they get a pick if they want to do choir, band, or orchestra, if they want to do something in the art department as well. Or theater department as well. Yeah. And so for the upper schoolers, we have 2 orchestras. We have advanced orchestra, and then I forget the actual title for the other orchestra.
I think it's upper school orchestra.
So upper school orchestra. And so they each are a half credit, and so they meet every other day in that 6-day rotation. And then for band, they have their regular band, which acts as the pep band for the high school football games.
No marching band, but
no marching band. Yes. And so they play for the football games, but from the stands. And then they also have a jazz band as well. And then for choir, we we're going to introduce a 3rd choir for next year. In the upper school.
Do tell.
New to you.
Admissions director should know.
So we have right now 1 half credit class called treble choir, and that's for traditionally higher voices, anybody that finds themselves as a soprano or an alto. And so that meets every other day in the 6-day rotation. And so next year we're also going to have a half credit tenor bass choir that meets on the opposite side of treble choir. So anybody that wants to that finds himself as a tenor or a bass or a baritone that wants to take choir but only wants to take a half credit choir class, that's going to be the space for them. And then the full credit choir class is called Camerata, and so that is SATB or a mixed ensemble, and that's a full credit. It meets every day during that 5th block. And so all of the ensembles in the upper school do multiple performances throughout the year. We all start with a big concert in November, where we have all of our middle school, or the majority of our middle school through upper school ensembles, for choir perform one night, for orchestra perform one night, and for band perform another night. And then during February, either January or February, depends on the year, we do what's called solo and ensemble and large group contest. And it depends on the year if we go with large group or not. But solo and ensemble is an opportunity for students that are considering doing music in college or doing it as a career path, gives them an opportunity to prepare a solo piece as they would for an audition and get good feedback from music educators from around the state so that they can see, oh, this is something that I can work on. And it gives them a goal, a personal goal to strive for. That's not just a part of being a team. And so that's something that we encourage a lot of our students to do. And then we give a concert kind of around that end of February time for each upper school orchestra, upper school choirs, upper school bands. And then cabaret is for all of the choirs in the upper school. That happens in April. And that's kind of like a dinner show. It's a cabaret. And so we have a bunch of students perform solos or small groups, and it tends to be lighter fare music or more contemporary music, whether that is from musical theater, whether that's artists on the radio that I really like this song. That's a space for them kind of to let that musical outlet out into the world. And then we also have end of the year concerts for the middle school, and then choir performs at commencement or at graduation. And on a non-performing arts side, we also have a theory class, a music theory class, and we have two levels to that. So we have a beginning level or an intro to music theory, which a lot of these kids get a lot of that information from their ensemble classes, because it's crucial to being a performer as well. And then we have AP music theory, and that actually it culminates with an AP test at the end of the year that they get college credit for. And so that's for those kids that are gung-ho about going into music in some sort of way to get college level training on music theory.
Just two more questions. I know we're almost ready to wrap up. Whitney, you mentioned leadership opportunities when we were talking about the dance coaches. No, what was it?
Dance captain.
Dance captains.
Yeah.
I know that Jessica Sneeringer, who is our the lead band instructor, takes those section leadership roles very seriously. Ryan, you and I haven't spoken, but I want to talk about leadership and the way that we're building that in our program.
For sure.
You guys,
And so I'll go first. I will say, I don't know what the orchestra does, because this is also Nathan Greenwood's first year as well. But for the choir program, there's two forms of leadership. There are choir officers, and then there are section leads. And so basically what it means is the choir officers, they have specific roles. We have a president, we have a vice president, secretary, and librarian. And so those are the people that I kind of call upon. For example, I'm going on paternity leave like any minute now. And so yes, due date is tomorrow. And so that is something that I've talked to those leaders saying, hey, we have a wonderful sub coming in, but it could be a day where I'm here in the morning and then have to leave and she can't get here in time for your class. And so those are the kids that kind of steer the ship. And those are the kids that also help give me input from what are they hearing from their classmates? How do they want to make their class special? How do they want to see the choir program grow? And so that's what they do. And then the section leads from that class, and there's some overlap in between those two. They're the kids that are the musically top kids in their section that if I say, hey, sopranos and altos, you go into another classroom and you're going to learn this part of this song. Those are the kids that already know how to do that on their own, and they're going to help teach the kids. Why does it sound like this? How does it sound? How are we going to do this phrase? How are we going to sing this softly or loudly? So those are just a few of the ways that we have leadership in the choir program.
great.
And band also has section leads and band officers too.
Yes.
Here in the theater department, like I said, we have an opportunity for upper schoolers to be student directors during the middle school musical. It is something that this year I had the most amount of interest, 12 people applied. And we'll probably continue kind of an application, especially because it's after school. It's one thing to be during a class, and you do have elections in your class. When it's after school, it gets a little hairy because people are multifaceted kids, right? And they have a lot of different interests. So we do need people that are able to come and be a presence. I tell my student directors that they end up being, you know, not only note takers, not only dance captains, not only people that can, you know, sing the music with them or run a scene after we have learned it, they're also the students' biggest fans. And so if the students in middle school don't see them present, they're not going to trust them when it comes to like, oh my gosh, it's performance time. And you know, the relationships are really important cross-divisionally. We also have student directors in the upper school as well. And that again is something that is a little less popular because everyone wants to act. So we have 1 or 2 people that come in and help. And they also help with the fall play too. So there are those leadership opportunities. Our theater department is not associated with Theater International, which a lot of high schools choose to do that. At this point, we're not a troupe, as some people are, just because our production schedule actually doesn't fit in very well, unfortunately, with a lot of the cool theater festivals. And that's something that as the years go on, I'm going to be taking a harder look at to see if we can be involved in some of those things. But right now, the theater runs very similarly to the athletic schedule. So our seasons are the same as the athletic seasons, and mostly because kids can schedule themselves a little bit easier with that.
Right.
So
we around here, we encourage kids to be Renaissance folks.
Yeah, for sure.
And so they're hopefully doing a sport in the musical or writing for the paper and doing choir.
Yeah, for sure.
All sorts of things. So
Yeah.
Last question, and we're just about out of time here. If you can comment just a little bit, you mentioned that you do stuff outside of school.
Yeah.
One of the intriguing pieces of our department, not all of them by any stretch, but many do have their fingers or toes dipped in other waters. So
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can, and actually, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to make a comment about the amount of professional musicians and theater folk that are in this school is remarkable. Starting
all of us work
yeah,
outside of school.
yeah. Starting with Jess in the band program, she is a part of Athena brass band, which is an all-female brass band.
she played with the Who.
She played with the Who. Yeah,
when the Who came to town.
I mean, it's remarkable the things that she's doing. Nathan Greenwood, he is new to Columbus, but in past cities, he's been playing all over the place. For me, I've been singing professionally in choirs and with orchestras since 2011, I think.
There's a picture of him up on our website singing the national anthem for the crew game, right?
Yep. So I've recently sung with Opera Columbus, and also direct Trinity United Methodist Church Choir, which is one of the better church music programs in the city. And so we just have professional musicians all over the place.
Yeah, Jenny Christoph, who's our accompanist, she plays at many different churches around town as well. Sujin Lee, who's our orchestra teacher, also performs professionally and is a professor at OSU as well, a doctor of orchestra.
Susan O'Rourke
Yep.
leads some
Capital, cadet band.
Yeah.
yes, the cadet band. I mean, this.
Yeah. Jenny also works at Capital University with a lot of the soloists getting ready for their juries and getting ready for auditions. Amy McLaughlin is actually part of the Marquee Awards. So she gets to visit a whole bunch of high schools, watch their musicals and plays. The Marquee Awards are through Kappa. You may have heard them if you've ever gone to a Broadway Across America show. Kappa is the one that brings in those shows, and they're kind of the umbrella structure for a lot of professional theaters here in Columbus. So Amy is an adjudicator for that, for fellow high school programs. And then Michelle Schroeder-Lowry and I are both in the same theater company. So we're company members of Available Light Theater, which has been around in Columbus for 15 years. I've been a member for 7. And I've done acting, directing, choreography, but also Michelle and I have also done the marketing side of our theater company as well. Michelle is an actor, and just recently in the fall, I directed her in a show called Witch. So often, like when I'm, presenting to my kids about theater design or about staging, I use a lot of our production photos, and every so often Michelle or me will show up as an actor in one of those production photos. So yeah, we're busy people. Arts people get really busy really fast because we get to do what we love all the time, which is amazing.
Avocation and vocation are
Right.
joined.
Right.
Well, it's 12:30. Anika, are there any questions that are short that we should answer? Maybe not.
Sorry, I don't see any questions. I'm just double checking.
Well, I was going to say I think
No questions.
we nailed it. So, well, thank you very much for joining us for this Zoom at noon. Next, correct me if I'm wrong, Anika, but on February 6th, we are speaking about diversity and inclusion here at Columbus Academy, I believe.
You're correct.
Give me a nod. Okay. So we appreciate your time and look forward to catching you in a week. Bye-bye.